So I have a common scenario here where I'm doing a single essential, number 8. And if I measure the space from number 9, and then I carry it to number 8, I can see that the space for number 8 is wider than the space for number 9. So this is a common scenario, and the way we manage this is by evaluating the line angles and the apparent width as opposed to the actual width. The actual width is obviously going to fill the space. We're not leaving a diastomer. So we have to utilize the line angles to make the apparent width of number 8 look like the apparent width of number 9. So we'll use our pencil to define the line angles and the heights of contour accordingly. And then I'll do the same thing here. And what you're looking at is, sometimes people may be confused because you could put this pencil just about anywhere, but you sort of lay it flat against the surface of the tooth, and the height of contour defines itself because it's the highest spot. So now we can evaluate this. Needs a little work, but we can look at this line angle compared to this line angle, and the way the surface of the tooth contours towards the contact zone. And we can compare that to the crown, and obviously there's less contour here than there is on the tooth we're replicating, so this needs to be adjusted. The gingival height, which is where the crown seems to begin, this is the area of the tooth that our eye perceives to be the contour of the tooth. It's similar, but if you notice, the zenith of this contour is more towards the mesial, and the zenith of number 8's contour is more towards the distal, so this needs correction. Minor adjustment. Then we can measure the apparent width of number 9, the apparent width of number 8. I'm pretty close, but we have to make sure we maintain that as we adjust this tapering surface on this contour. So I'll try to adjust that slightly on video. Try to see where we are here. And I'll redefine these line angles that I just adjusted. It's better, but right now I do not care for this curve here. This is more horizontal, with the zenith being on the mesial. This is sort of curved with the zenith being right in the center now. So we'll see how we can alter that. Obviously we need to think about emergence profile and the general shape of the tooth as we do this. So I'm going to put the profile here, make sure I have some material to work with. The length, pretty much where we want it. Going to look at the incisal edge. This is a very thin incisal edge. Maybe it's a little bit too thin on my crown, but I think I need to shorten it just a hair to contour that. So you can see how we utilize these subtle lines to affect the contour. You can see this is improved. It's not quite broad enough. If I measure how broad the interface of these two line angles are compared to here, I need to move this interface slightly towards the distal to make the gingival third seem a little bit wider. I also look at the profile of this tooth. Usually the general goals are to keep the labial surface of the maxillary anteriors in line with the lip closure path. So there's usually three planes. On this tooth it's very subtle, but there's a gingival plane, there's a central plane, and an incisal plane, but there isn't much difference between all three, but it's definitely there. So I'm pretty close to those contours now. So I'll recontour this and then see if I can either take another video. Obviously I'll photograph this. Thank you. Okay, I've recontoured a little more. And let's see where we are. Pretty close. I don't like this line here, sort of begins slightly towards the distal on the mesial 1/3 of the labial surface, but towards the distal aspect of that. Contours, leans towards the mesial, and then rolls back. Obviously there's a little wear on this mesial corner, but for a single central, we want to replicate that. This is a natural tooth, and it's not an old restoration that's bad. So I'm going to recontour this to sort of taper, just tilt towards the distal slightly. I'm going to use my diamond for this adjustment. Area where this really tapers back on the distal really is key to the contour of this crown. Also putting in some of my vertical surface texture. And let's see where we are here. The apparent length right in the center of the tooth, not zenith to incisal, but right in the center, we have it just about right. If I evaluate the incisal edge, replace this marking. It's fairly thin. On the distal half, I still think this is too thick. I don't think it's an option, but I do look at it. So I'm just going to thin this off slightly. That's nice. Like that. Now I'm going to look at the facial contour. It doesn't, the surface texture of this tooth doesn't look, it's hard to discern the surface. But if I allow the light to shine across the surface, I can see that there is a mamelon pretty evident right about here. I think you can see that on the video. So I'm going to just try to replicate it. It's very subtle, so it's not a strong surface. I like to wet when I'm doing this type of grinding because the porcelain can really chip. Very fine chips, but it can affect the surface texture very significantly after it's glazed.